sugar and you want to get out.
You want to go first?
Oh, sure. I'm Amanda Eckert, and I'm new to the area. I actually just moved down here just over a year ago. I live over in Fairhope and work out of the Daphne office. And my team is actually located on Long Island, New York. So I've been in the business since 2003. I actually got my real estate license before that in Breckenridge, Colorado. So I've kind of been all over the place, seeing business done in lots of different ways, lots of different cultures, lots of different customs on what you ask for in contracts, what you don't, and ultimately, though, what it takes to be successful in the business. There's a lot of fundamentals, and there's lots of shiny objects, and there's lots of things that we can do, but I love just trying to talk with other agents all over the country when we go to these conferences and see what's working, what people do, and share those ideas because we can all help each other out, save each other a ton of time, save each other a ton of money, and get to do what we love doing. So that's a little bit about me. Our team is 4 agents, 1 part-time transaction coordinator, 1 office manager, director of operations. And we saw about 100 houses and about.
Wow, impressive. I, on the other hand, am a fairly new agent. I have been in the business exactly 4 years and 1 month. And so I, like Tanya said, was Rookie of the Year my first year. I actually went into real estate and I just wanted something different to do. I have 6 kids. I stayed at home and I just wanted to, I want to do something. I want to do what I want to do. My youngest was leaving for college and I felt like I was going to be an empty nester with something to do. So I actually thought I would just do it for fun, and then I really kind of got into it and got more interested as I went along. And I love it. Became Rookie of the Year after my first year. And I've been in the top 20 every year since then. And I wanted to come talk to you guys because when I first got into real estate, I thought I would starve to death. Honestly, I felt like I worked very, very hard, and in my first 6 months. So I started in June. So when I did my income tax returns, my net was $8,000. I swear, I thought I must have worked for less than $1 an hour. And it's frustrating, and it takes a minute for the wheels to just start going. And then, like I said, the next year I was Rookie of the Year, and I've been in the top 20 ever since. So started a team, and I pay attention to, I am all in Keller Williams, and I pay attention to all the training that Keller Williams offers. So I feel like if you want to be successful and you listen to what the Gary Keller's books tell you, you will be successful.
Okay, so coming off of that, so we kind of heard what made you want to get into real estate. What made you want to get into real estate?
So I'm not your typical did another career first and then got into real estate. I actually have always been in real estate. I moved to Breckenridge, Colorado. I was an engineering major at the University of Florida. It was not a fit for me. I just didn't like it. And so I was taking some time to kind of find myself, and I found real estate. And I got actually very lucky. I hooked up with a great businesswoman there. She had her own company, her own brokerage, but she ran her brokerage like a team before teams were really a thing. So I would say that she was like the first team leader, but it was a brokerage. And she had 4 people that worked for her, someone that did transaction coordination, marketing, leads, and like the bookkeeping, and she was a great person to learn from. So I got really lucky to learn from someone that ran their business like a business. Whereas most real estate agents, you don't get that. You don't get that same mentality. And so I saw what worked. I saw what she did. I saw her also very successful with investing in real estate, and It was a time that was an exciting time in real estate. A lot was going on, a lot of building, kind of like what we're seeing around here. Very excited. And yeah, I just got the bug.
So that, would you say that that kind of was a stepping stone of what you modeled your team after? Because it sounds like it was pretty much.
Yes, yeah, you know, it definitely showed me that that being a business owner was different, a little bit different than being great at sales, which it took me longer to actually get that piece of a little bit. So I for a long time I was anti being a salesperson. I'm not a salesperson. I would not say that I was in sales. It just felt contrary to who I was. But once I started to embrace those pieces, to really be able to help people better and understanding how to have conversations that were more sales conversations and put those pieces together, that's when it kind of started to make more sense in helping other people actually be more successful on my team too in the business.
Okay, so question for both of you. How long did it take for you guys to get your first transaction? I mean, you go first.
So I would say that when I moved markets the first time is when I would go off of for that. So I moved markets from Colorado, where I was more of an employee, to Long Island, and I knew no one. You know, starting with no sphere of influence, no friends, not knowing what a high ranch was or a splash or a mouse here. You don't have any of those things. Thank goodness, be happy. But I would say it probably took me about a month to get my first contact of someone that wanted to buy or sell a house. But I can tell you that very first house that I ever sold, I'm still in touch with. They still refer their friends and family members, and it really built off of one sale. That's it.
So for me, I actually, just upon signing on, they were starting Ignite. Okay, that's what I'll do. I'll go to Ignite. And back then, I don't know if it's the same way, it was like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And it was so much information that Monday, from the time I finished on Monday, all day on Tuesday, I was doing what I learned on Monday. And then on Wednesday, we'd start all over again. You'd learn so much that on the rest of the day on Wednesday, Thursday. And so I actually got my first sale at the end, which was 30 days, at the end of Ignite, where I had done one of the things that they had told me to do, which was call anybody that I knew. And I did not have a lot of contacts because we were new here. So unlike Bold, where Bold, they tell you to put in 200 contacts by the end of Bold or whatever. I didn't even know 200 people. I didn't know 20 people that, you know, besides relatives. Okay, I got my 6 kids, my mom and dad, you know, and all of that. So I called a girl and she said, no, I'm selling my house for sale by owner, which they do down here. And then the day of Bold, she called me up and she said, I do have it for sale by owner, but I have a couple of people. I have someone who wants to see it this weekend and I'm out of town. Do you want to do a one-time show and sell? Absolutely. So I ended up showing it to her. She called me again and said there was someone else to show it to, and both of them wanted to make an offer on it. So you just never know what it is that you do. I mean, I got a no from her. She wasn't interested in listing from me, but within the month, she's calling me back and saying, will you do a one-time show and sell? So I ended up, they went into multiple offers. One of them let me list her house. I didn't even know how to list a house. And so it was off to the races. But I still, like I said, out of that, I only sold one house. And I still, at the end of the 6 months, there was not a lot of money at first. But then it does just accumulate and the ball starts rolling and I have actually sold that house again, and I have sold that buyer multiple times since then. We're different here at the beach in that the average, and I don't know the number, but in the nation, the average time that a house will resell is much higher than it is here at the beach.
It's 7 years in the nation. Here it's like every 1 to 3 years.
I would say on average, I've had a lot of repeat business 2 years.
Or
2
less. I actually have a listing right now where the guy, he actually closed on it in May 1st, and we have it on the market again.
And Jean's was 6 months. Jean's 4 listings.
Oh, that's right. Her first
Sale ever.
sell, she's already resold, and she's only 1 year in the market. So I say to you guys, pay especially close attention to your past clients. They are your best friends.
Good, and so like, branching off of that, what would you say was the main activity that spearheaded your career?
Honestly, just like Donna said, and in our market, we're exactly the opposite of that. Closing costs on Long Island are so high, and people have to spend a lot of time saving for their house, and they stay there forever. Children live with their parents. Like, you cannot get these people out of their house because they never want to go. So, but the same thing is absolutely still true, and that, you know, having that connection with your past clients, and it's not only that they could buy or sell a house, it's giving them the best service, and then, you know, hoping that they'll recommend their family, their friends, other people to you, and then that one transaction turns into two turns into four turns into 8, and 8 turns into 16 before you know it. It just, you know, the snowball starts going, and having a great system for keeping that personal touch with your past clients. One of the things that I learned from the person that I was fortunate enough to take notes from was doing client events. And it was fun, it was something I enjoyed doing, and it was something I implemented immediately into my business. I did a 4th of July party, and after the parade, I invited the handful of clients that I had that year to my house for a barbecue. My kids were there, my babies were there, and my friends and my family were there, but I just incorporated them. You know, it was a great way for, if they were new to the area, to meet people, and then from that, now we do a holiday party at Benner's Farm where we have a huge turnout. We do a family photographer taking pictures, we have animals, we have live music, we have marshmallow roasting, and you know, that was kind of my thing that I really liked doing, and it was a great way to give something to my clients without always feeling like I was asking for something, and just staying in touch with them.
So for me, I think it's follow-up. To me, the most important word in real estate is follow-up. Follow-up, follow-up, follow-up. It's the most important word. It's the second most important word. It's the third most important word. If you don't follow up with your clients, and I say maybe even especially in this area, I've never worked in another market, so I don't know, but people in this area have, every other person is a real estate agent. So I feel like that it's the next person who answers the telephone, or it's the next person who has a conversation with them. So staying in touch with your clients and following up.
Awesome. And you would recommend, what would you say would the key cornerstone or keystone activities as a brand spanking new person? You don't have any people to follow up with, you don't have past clients, you don't have anyone. How would you advise someone that's brand new in the business that doesn't really have the 200 people on their phone to say, hey, how am I going to launch myself?
Well, one thing that, and I love, if I could just also say a couple other things about follow-up. I mean, it is everywhere that most real estate agents will call people back one time. I mean, I know it's
2 times, maybe.
It's written on the board, I think,
Right.
even in the deputy office, 2 times maybe. 3 you hardly ever get to, but it's the 8th to 10th follow-up where you're really going to find that you make a big difference. And no just means not yet. I mean, it's never no. It just means that's not what they're thinking about right now. And, you know, the more that you just care, build that relationship, stay in touch, be the person that, you know, that is just reminding them of what's going on, or giving some type of value of what we're seeing. I know right now everyone's asking about prices going down, about interest rates, just some little tidbit, hey, thinking about you, saw this, did that, and it's that 8 to 10 follow up with that magic kind of always starts to happen. And you always feel like you just talked to them, but that's not the way that they feel. And so, really actually keeping track of when you followed up with them or how often, because it's going to feel like you just talked to them yesterday when actually it might have been a month ago. And then so much can happen in that month that you call and you're like, oh my gosh, I thought I had them and they were gone. So, that follow up is so great. And once you've got them, that you did the hard part, you got that one contact. So it's so much easier than to take that one person and follow up with them than to try to find another, try to find 8 to 10 others when you can follow up with that one over.
So how often, say you have an online lead, not somebody you met face to face, but possibly you spoke to them on the phone, maybe you did. How often follow up? Like via phone call or what method is weekly, 2 weekly? I mean, what's enough and what's too much?
Well, for our team, it depends on what you know about them. If we know nothing about them, but they inquired, they saw a property, they called on something, you met them at an open house or something, we follow up with them with a call, text, email in that order every day for 10 days. So call, text, email, the first one would just be a general phone call like, hey, looking for fun, or are you thinking of making a move in the future? Just something really like, hey, you saw this house, what did you like, what did you not like about it? Just curious. If I'm following up from an open house, I love telling people from an open house, I promise my seller feedback, because people are going to be more likely to do something for something else than they would be for you. I promise my seller feedback, and so many listings have come from asking that question. You asked me for the seller for something, and no one else ever followed up with me after an open house. Now I want to list my house with you. So that follow-up, those follow-up phone calls can turn into so much. So it kind of depends on what you know about them and where it came from. But if they said, I'm not buying for 6 months, our rule is follow up with them in 3. If you wait 6, something's gonna happen. They said, call me back in 6 weeks, call them back in 3 weeks. Cut it in half, basically.
What if it's just an online lead you haven't talked to, but they registered on your website?
Then I would call, text, email, call, text, email, call, text, email for 10 days. That's what we do. That's our system. Everyone else might have a
Call,
different
text, and then email every day.
every day. Not all 3 every day.
Yeah.
One.
And after those 10 days with no response, then what's the?
Well, then it's kind of up to you. Then for me, I would be evaluating again, like, what do I know about them? What type of property is it? You kind of just maybe do a little bit of intel. If it's a seller, maybe we'll send them a postcard. Maybe we'll send them a handwritten note. It depends on how much time and energy you want to put into someone and how many other people you might have to work with. If this is the one person that you have, I wouldn't stop until they told me to stop.
Absolutely. Okay, so for me, we do it a little bit different. I would follow up with a call first. And then something that we talked about in the call, or maybe the property that they saw. Our systems at Keller Williams make it so easy. Like, I love when you go onto the Kelly app and you send them, pull up that property and send it to them from your Kelly app. Because now when they open it, they can download the app. Okay, so so it makes, first off, it pops up and it looks so nice. It looks so professional. So I'll say, hey, here are the details on that house, and I send it to them. Well, then when they open it up, it gives me a reason to start texting. So now I've called them. I sent from the app the property that they asked about, and then I follow up with an email, but maybe not one day right after another. I would probably do those 2 things in one day, because although I called them, now I want them to have my contact information. So that's the app. I send in that property. Then I go and put them in as a search, and I set them up. Now, I don't want to inundate them with too many things, so I'll set them up to maybe for them to get something that's like that property, a text message from the search that says, hey, you liked that other property. What do you think about this property? It's very similar. So, and then I'll set it up to where it'll, maybe send a couple for a few weeks, and then I'll follow up with them in a month. And then if they don't really, respond, I set them up on maybe it's every 8 weeks or whatever, because our market down here, even different than Daphne, where Daphne is really Daphne Fairhope is a bedroom community. Our market down here is, they probably don't even live here. So they're looking for an investment property or a second home or something like that. So their time frame to buy is a little longer,
And in general, just as Donna was saying, an online lead, for instance, statistically 13 months is, some might be 1 month, some might be 2 years, but for an online lead, 13 months is the amount of time somebody might first click on a property that they're looking to kind of they actually transact. So, you're not going to call them every day for 13 months, but
but the
but it's
system
the
sets
system
up where you're, and then when I'll send them a text message from the Keller Williams app, and it comes across so professional looking, like a rabbit at Easter or a heart something at Valentine's or whatever. So it's all set up to where, I have too many clients that I could not personally do this every time. You have to set the systems up to where it's automatic. But I wanted to piggyback on your no doesn't mean no, it means no right now. I take a different approach, and Reagan gets so tired of hearing this because I'm not a no person. When somebody says, hey, I want to do this, the answer's not no. I'm like, yeah, let's figure out how we can make that happen. So mine is, I don't take no. I want to say, how can we make that happen? So it might not be what they thought. We have to go, maybe it's lending or whatever. We have to go from a different angle, but let's figure out how to make it happen.
Yeah, so real estate is definitely a problem-solving career. So we're always solving puzzles and how we can make one transaction fit in with another, right? So did both of you start off as single agents?
Yes.
Okay, and to piggyback off of that, what made you guys want to start a team? And what would you say, and would you recommend for new agents to go into teams right away? What are your thoughts?
Okay, I'll let you think on that for a second. So like I said, the first 6 months, I worked for less than $1 an hour. And in my mind, I was thinking, how can it really pay for itself? Because a team takes a portion of what you make. Well, in my first year after joining a team, I still did 6 figures. Okay, so the team should bring, not only should you bring value to the team should bring value to you. So they should, so as an agent who did not have clients or contacts or whatever, they were able to show me how to, they didn't actually give me leads, pass out leads. Like if you're going to join a team and you think that they're going to call you every day and say, here are 3 leads I need you to follow up on and write a contract on that. I actually had someone who thought that was the way a team works. A team teaches you how to find the leads. A team teaches you all the tools and provides you the tools. So, like I said, you should bring value to the team, but the team should also bring value to you. So if they can bring you double the amount of closings, then there's value in that. So what made me, and at first I was like, okay, well, I think I can learn a lot. And I did, okay, so I did Ignite, like I said, and they talked about scripts. That's the least favorite thing. Today, I still hate scripts. And that's not something that we do on our team, as far as like, they would always teach you to call and call another agent, do scripts. So we actually do scripts every day, all day long in our office. We just don't know we're doing it. Like Reagan became an agent just like that because she sat with me for so long as my transaction coordinator that she didn't realize she was practicing scripts. So Reagan got the opportunity from watching me. She was an agent only maybe 4 weeks, and she got a lead for a listing. And I was on vacation. She's like, Mom, what do I do? And I said, well, send me the address. I'll look it up to see, whatever. And she sent it to me, and she said, what do I do next? So I'm like, okay, well, send me the address. Let's figure this out together. But I'm in New York, I think I was, when we're doing this. And I looked at the address, and this is a $2 million home. And I called her back, and I was like, wait, did you look at that house? Are you sure you gave me the right address? I said, did you know that's a $2 million house? And she's like, no. And I said, okay, so this is what you're gonna do. These are the things you're gonna do. And when I get back, set up the appointment. So I'm thinking, as a luxury agent, that she's gonna need me to go as sort of the head, or whatever. I get out of the car and I start to talk to the people, and she cuts her eyes at me, and she's like, my listing. So she had done the scripts without even knowing she's doing the scripts for so many years. She sat down at that table. She had her property CMA. She had already filled out the listing agreement. She knew she was leaving with that listing, and at 6%. And she gave them her spiel, and I just acted like the support person. Like in other words, I acted like I was her TC in this situation, because she ran with it and did great. And when she got done, she said, would you have any questions? And he said no, and she slid the thing across the table, and she said, you sign right here. And he did. And it got on the market, and she sold it like in 1 week. So just the scripts are important, but that is one thing that a team teaches you is, and you don't realize it. So just like you were in the office all day long, like our team members are, listening to each other talk on the phone, So I think oftentimes, well, they just don't want to come and sit to the office. Like, well, I can do the same thing at home. You can't really. You cannot, because they're listening to me all day long. Now they're listening to her all day long, So that's because I think practicing scripts is the hardest thing I've ever done, and so we don't do it that way. It's script practice, but it's in our office. So.
And what made you want to start your team? And when did you start it?
So I read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and I started. So that was when I first went onto the team. So they gave me the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and I read it. And the first, 6 chapters is really about yourself and like how you as a real estate agent become, but as you go through it and you start doing those things and they become every day for you, then chapter 10, or I don't know what chapter at all. It's been a long time, but it starts talking about how you leverage other things. And I feel like I have a lot to offer. Like, I really don't want to sell anymore, but I feel like I have a lot to offer the 4 girls on the team, So I just think I have a lot to offer.
And so, yeah, okay, good. So basically growing through others and helping each others grow, right?
So, sorry, I never have my cell phone on, but I just made a video and I had it on. Sorry for that. So similarly, I think, the amount of experience that you gain in such a condensed amount of time on a team is, you get years worth of knowledge and experience in such a short amount of time. That was probably one of the things that attracted me to starting a team was, I had people that were kind of approaching me a little bit, wondering how to do things, and I had been going to a lot of conferences and networking with other agents and seeing the way that other people do things, and it really wasn't being done that much on Long Island at that time, so it was kind of new, and that's one of the reasons why I actually joined Keller then, was because they had written the book on how to do it. So I thought, well, gosh, I want to be someplace that really fosters this idea and supports you in accomplishing that. So that helped make the transition. The other thing that it was for me, and this probably is not going to be a popular answer, but it is the truth, is that I had at one point in time a transaction that had like 6 transactions all wrapped up onto a domino of a house. Like this one closing was going to be 6 transactions, you know, it just got crazy. And I had 2 little babies at the time, and I got a phone call like the week before closing that the people had driven by the house that they were buying, and there was a big flood in the middle of the street, and they were not closing. And I just remember dropping to my knees, like this was going to be my income for the next
year.
Yeah, this was it. It was all riding on this one house, and I just thought, oh my gosh, like the amount of stress that caused me. What was I going to do? I thought, you know what? If I can give these opportunities to other people, and maybe everyone makes, you know, something, and there's more consistency, there's less stress. Like to me, that had a lot of value as well. So, you know, doing more transactions, doing more volume, and then when something happens to one, it's like, okay, there's still 5 others. It's not your entire.
Right. Agreed. And then for me also, like, I like to travel. So for a team, I know that I have the other girls that can, you know, step up and take care of things. And then when I'm in town and they're not, then, you know, we all just kind of help each other out. So,
That's a big
so this past weekend, Katarina sent a message out. She was out of town and she's like, who can do a showing tomorrow? Well, I had just been out of town and they've been doing it for me. So I was like, I can. I answered, I can, before I ever even asked anything about the transaction. Okay. And so turns out that it was almost to Mississippi. Okay. On a Sunday. Okay. And so I was like, okay, oh my gosh. I even took a picture of my speedometer going over there. I was doing 26 miles an hour because it was pouring cats and dogs, okay? And I told the lady, I took a picture of my screen on the speedometer, and I was like, I'm coming, but I can't even, you couldn't even see out my window, you know? So whatever, well, she ends up writing a contract, you know, and she got that one under contract, and it's just like how we help each other out, you know? So if I'm out of town, or, you know, somebody's got a family emergency or something like that, it's not always, she would have lost the buyer. You know, there's another agent who would have answered the phone on Sunday, you know, so just being able to help each other out.
And piggybacking on the team, and this is the final question, how important would you say to have a in-office support system, being in the office, talking with other agents and knowing you have another colleague agent there in case something bad happens and you're not in a team?
I think it's extremely important. And I know every single person on my team would rather stay in their pajamas and answer their phone calls at home. But I think it's extremely important. It's extremely important that we help each other out. I think we have grown so fast from just being in the room together, and it's scripts all day long, and you just, you know, you just don't realize it is. But I think it's extremely important to be in the office. I also, especially for my agents being so young in the business, somebody needs help and it ends up turning into a referral here, a referral there, or this, that, and the other. They've gotten transactions that they would not have gotten had they not been in the office. So phone duty, oh my gosh. I want them to do phone duty anytime and every time they can do phone duty. Katarina did phone duty this last week, and she hasn't been in the office since because she's been out with those 2 buyers. So being in the office is important. It's different for you because your team is not necessarily all here.
No, but they are all in the office, and I just had a team meeting on Zoom with everybody right before I came here. So we have still a morning huddle call with everybody on it every morning, and my director of operations is kind of my presence in the office. But we have an office that we all work in, and I think not only does it help all of us as team members, but it also does benefit our clients when we're having those conversations. And we say, oh, someone knows something about this house that it's not good, or they know something about this house that it's great, it wasn't great for this person. But, I think we sell a lot more because we collaborate and we share and we have those conversations. So again, the benefits of really truly working together not only helps us, but it does benefit our clients as well. And that's something that we promote to them when we're, having a presentation with a buyer or a seller. It's the benefit of, working with us. Now, I'm not saying that a team is necessarily right for everybody. That being an agent definitely, you can be very, very successful, and it has different advantages. But those are, some of the advantages that I've found being on a team.
Okay, does anyone have, what questions do you guys have for them? Take advantage of it while they're up here?
How does the money split go?
Every team is different.
So, I'll share yours, I'm just curious.
That would be a question to ask them in private.
What's your best lead generation source?
Well, I feel like the best lead generation source is your past clients. And the Keller Williams system, where if you set it up right, and the follow-up, that's your best lead source, is your follow-up, because then your client is your past clients. Really, that's your best top number one. But as far as a new lead, I think I'm going to answer one way, and probably Reagan will answer different, but I'm going to say it's social media. What you do, okay. But I think the system and following up with your past clients.
When you mentioned text, do you use that thing in command?
Julia?
Yes. Do y'all use that, or what did you? use when
Okay,
you
so
said, like,
y'all are using Ribbity.
I'm back solo.
Oh,
She
okay.
does use Brivity. I like Brivity.
Mhm.
But when you had mentioned a text message, like you could send it to multiple people, like holidays or whatnot,
Mhm.
is it through command?
You can do it with command. Yes, you do. You do. It's through command.
You set it up, and you should have with your concierge paper that Jen prints out. Sometimes there's a password there that you can input.
So important to use the systems. You guys are paying for the system. Whether I don't know exactly how it works. So, command.
Yeah.
You guys are paying for command. Well, yeah, it's a little bit extra, but it's not the same as if you went out and just actually bought it. It's like a very small amount. It's ridiculous. Have you set it up, or are you doing it? Because I think it's so important that you, like, if it's okay. Before we were doing the Twilio.
Yeah.
Okay, Reagan and I at Christmas one time, we had come up with a little picture and a cute little, something that we said, and we literally were copy and paste, send, copy and paste, send, copy and paste, send. And we were doing it because we didn't know how to do it the other way. And when you do set that up, 3 hours a day. Yes, okay, when you do set it up, it's one text message and boom. Okay, move on to the next task. Yes, yeah. And the tasks, they're all there. And every time I teach a class, I'm like, that stuff on the left side of your screen, the home page, the client page, the tasks, the opportunities, whatever, the designs, those things are all designed for us to make it so simple. So use them. You're paying for it. Use them.
Is it like a virtual assistant, basically? Kind of?
It's like group text.
Well, yeah, that's a group text.
Julia is just a group text, pretty much. I mean, it's individual, but it's mass
Right.
texting.
Right. But the system itself, where you set it up, is it like a virtual assistant, basically, where you somewhat, no?
I don't know if you would call it that, but to me, it's super important. Now I'm getting off subject a little bit.
Sorry.
Like I have on my phone the app. So I look up, before I even get out of bed, I look up what my tasks are and what needs to happen today. Because if you have this many clients, there's no possible way you can follow up with them appropriately, in the right time frame or whatever. So there's the home page that tells you what your tasks are today. It's super important you set up the task so that it tells you If you're gonna follow up with that person every month, today's the day, and it doesn't really matter if it's a text message or, hey, I saw this property that I thought of you when I saw this property, or if it's a call, like, so sometimes it's a call for me, sometimes it's a text message. But then I have most everybody set up on some type of search. So if it's a past client and say they bought in Trade Winds, I have them set up on the system to where every time something comes on the market in Trade Winds, it says, hey, did you see this new one that came on the market? And what I'm trying to teach them is, as the market went up and you bought it at 4 and now they're selling for 6, hey, want to sell that? Make sure it's all automated, because you will not, and I told you this when we first got started, you do not have time to do everything you have to do as a real estate agent unless you set the systems up.
All right. Well, if there are any other questions, thank you guys so much for sharing all of your knowledge.